our summary study of Bhagavad-gita. Today, chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme. So this chapter begins, like many of the other chapters, with Arjuna's asking questions on our behalf. And he asks this very important question, which everybody is confused about. Brahman. What is Brahman? What is the self? What are fruitive activities? What is this material manifestation? Who are the demigods? So, attaining the Supreme. That's a destination, right? It's a destination. We want to go to a destination. So say we have a map. This is kind of like the map. Okay? We've got our map, and we've identified the destination. What else do we need to know to use our map?
What else do you know?
Yeah, we need some other knowledge. In order to be able, for our map to be useful, we need some other knowledge. What?
How goal look like?
Okay, we've got a map.
Okay.
We know what the end point is.
Mm-hmm.
What else do we need to know?
How we can come to this point?
And to do that, what else do you need to know?
I must have a guider.
No.
Guider is
Nope.
Instructions for you.
Huh?
Instructions for you.
Instructions? No.
I must have a knowledge how I read the map.
That's true, but that's before that you need another piece of information. Okay.
I must have in my mind this the picture of the destination when I want to come.
That's for the destination. What else do you need to know? You got a map. Take any map out of your car. Say you've got a map from to Zagreb. You got a map of all Croatia. And you want to know, let's say you want to go to Split. What else?
I must have some transport vehicle or something.
You need that, but what else do you need to know?
Compass.
Huh?
Compass.
Kompass na engelska.
Okay, I'm sorry. I won't continue this. Where are you going to start from?
Referent. Yeah.
Where are you? If you have the map, you know the destination, but you don't know where you are, your map is no good. Right? I think I'm over here, but I'm actually over here. If I think I'm over here and I'm trying to get to there, but I'm not over here, then my map won't make any sense. I'll look at it and I'll say, well, this map is no good. The map is good, but I don't know where I am. So, we got the destination, attaining the Supreme. That's Krishna. So what else do we need to know? Where are we? Right? Like I was telling you, the anecdote of that one devotee. When he was newly coming to the temple, he had that sticker on his bathroom mirror, right? Remember, you are God. Okay, if God is the destination, you are God. Don't have to go anywhere. I'm already there, right? The problem is, that's not where he is on the map. He thinks he's at the destination already. but he's at the beginning. So Arjuna is asking these questions to help us identify where are we on the map, right? What are fruitive activities? That's going to be important because those are the stumbling blocks on the path, right? The roadblocks, the speed bumps, the detours. What are the demigods? What is the material manifestation? Where am I? So these questions are important because they help us to identify where we are. And we have to have some idea of, where am I? Right? We generally think about that in physical terms. Like we're down here and heaven is up there, right? We always do that, right? Hell is down there, heaven is up there. We have some spatial understanding of things because we live in a 3D world. But it's not necessarily up there. There's other dimensions even right in here. So we have to have some ideas like, okay, I'm here, then how do I get there? And so this is what Krishna is explaining. How do we get there from here? And that how is not that you get in a car and we drive to spiritual world, or we get in a rocket ship and we go there. Can't get there by rocket ship. Impossible. Too far away. Maybe. Could be right here, but you can't get there in a rocket ship. So how are we going to get there? And that's what Krishna is going to explain here. So we have to, as we read this, we have to read between the lines. We have to think about, we have to understand that we don't get there by three-dimensional motion. There's some other thing going on. And when we get to those shlokas, I'll explain that further. Okay? Next, Arjuna is asking, how does the Lord of Sacrifice live in this body? And where does he live? And how can those engaged in your service know you at the time of death? So, there's the question. How do we get to you? You're the destination. How do we get to you at the time of death? When we're going to leave this body, then where do we go? What happens then? So people have a very, depending upon their religious training, they have different ideas of what happens at death. What's your idea? What do you think?
I think I read and look at the movie of the Tibetan Book of Dead.
Tibetan Book of the Dead.
Yes.
Okay.
And I have some imagination, but I don't
Okay.
have a picture.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, so that's one. I also read that when I was starting my spiritual journey, right? I mean, it sounds spiritual, Tibetan Book of the Dead. Okay, let's. It's certainly not Catholicism, so I thought I would get new information there. That's the different cultures describe it in different ways. The path of the soul, what goes on. Now, you understand there's two bodies, right? Gross body, subtle body. Death means the subtle body separates from the physical body. And so that happens on another plane. Okay? It's in the same 3D dimension, but we can't see that dimension. Okay? Maybe you've been with somebody who's dying, and sometimes they say they can see somebody, but there's nobody there in the room. So what are they doing? They can see through that, in that subtle realm, even before they leave the body. That curtain is parted, and so they can see that. So, Tibetan Book of the Dead, they describe this journey of the soul, generally once, or the subtle body leaves the gross body, and there's different things that happen depending upon the culture. There's many people who have had what they call near-death experience, and they give very interesting accounts. Those are very interesting. I've watched many of those videos.
My father
read
had
some.
this
Oh, yeah?
experience.
Oh, what happened to him?
He's in a hospital in a bed,
Yeah.
and he looked himself,
He was up there. He could see down
yeah.
the body. Uh-huh.
and in this moment my mother is with my father, and my mother talked to him, and these words my father come, because these words my father come
Uh-huh.
to the
Draws him back.
yes,
Yeah, yeah.
come back.
Yeah, this happens. The prayers of the people, there's some accounts they say like that. They get out of the body and they feel so happy, right? But the prayers of their friends and loved ones are bringing them back, and they're going, no, I don't want to go back. So it works like that. There's different things that go on. What Bhagavad-gita is teaching us, and what Srila Prabhupada is teaching us, is not about that at all. Rather, what we're learning is, as long as we are connected with the subtle body, we cannot leave to go to the spiritual world. That's another dimension yet, beyond the subtle, beyond the mental world, the spiritual world. And so the whole goal that we want to achieve is to become free from the subtle body also, so that then we're free to leave this world entirely. So that's what's being described here. It's not about, actually, yeah, we'll get there later in the chapter. Let's wait, and I'll explain, because Krishna, he talks about how yogis, how they leave the body, where they go. Okay, let's go on. So, the indestructible, transcendental living entity is called Brahman. So, Brahman, this word means spiritual. That's the Sanskrit word for spiritual. So, the living entity is spiritual energy. That's Brahman. And the Brahma Jyoti is made up of many particles of Brahman. The spiritual sky is called Brahman also. It's full, it's self-effulgent. It's full of the spiritual beings. And his eternal energy is called the self. His eternal nature is called the self. Action pertaining to the development of these material bodies is called karma. That's a very interesting definition of karma.
Which slope is that?
3. So action that causes the development of material bodies, this is karma. So we perform some action, the reaction is another material body, or fruitive activity. Physical nature, so now we're talking about the landscape. Here's where we are, material world. This physical nature is endlessly changeable. The universe and is the cosmic form of the Supreme Lord. So he's saying, this universe is me, but it's not me. It's my cosmic form. Sometimes called the universal form. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's described like that. I am the Lord represented as the super soul, the Lord in the heart. So here, Krishna is now he's answering Arjuna's questions. What are fruitive activities? What is the material manifestation? The material manifestation, Krishna says, is me. That's my my cosmic form. He didn't ask her what the demigods are yet. How does the Lord of Sacrifice live in the body, and what part does he live? He says, that's me. I am the super soul, the Lord of Sacrifice, living in the heart of every living being. So one by one, Krishna is answering all of these questions. And then finally, Arjuna's question, how can those engaged in devotional service know you at the time of death? And Krishna answers, whoever at the time of death leaves his body remembering me alone, at once comes to me, attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. So that's how we get to Krishna. The idea is that we have to remember Krishna at the time of death. Now, can we do that? Is that easy? I would just say, Hare Krishna, remember Krishna. But what's going on at the time of death? We've described earlier how today's activities are a continuation of yesterday's activities. And so future life is a continuation of this life. So the yogi, what he's doing is preparing his next life to be a continuation of this life based on his activity of developing a relationship with the Lord, serving him, so that that's what he can do in the next life. And in advanced bhakti yoga, this is done in meditation in Goloka Vrindavan, okay, in the spiritual world. The devotee sees himself engaged in relationship with Krishna. So, Krishna says, whatever state of being one remembers when he quits a body, that he will get without fail. So if you're thinking of your cats, you get to be a cat. Or your dog, or your horse, whatever. So there's a story about that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. A very elevated saint, Maharaj Bharat, who had almost completely achieved perfection, but he was living in his ashram, and a baby deer came. Baby deer lost its mother, so he's, I have to take care of this little baby. And so he was taking care, feeding it, and he became attached to the deer. So it's an innocent thing. No, you're not thinking, this is Maya. It's not like some beautiful woman. I know I shouldn't go there. A little baby deer, no problem. But what happened one day is the deer didn't come, and he's thinking, oh my gosh, what happened to it? It got hurt. So he went to look for it, and he's going through the forest and jungle, and what happened is he fell over a cliff. And as he was falling down, he was picturing in his mind his broken body at the bottom of the cliff, and the little baby deer is going to come and find his body and be unhappy. So like that, he was thinking of the deer, and next life, he had to become a deer.
But maybe I have a question. All life, some person, for example, have this spiritual life, and in this last moments in the life, maybe some coma or some another situation, maybe have some car
Accident.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What's happened in this?
Whatever they're thinking. Krishna says, whatever state of being one remembers when he leaves the body. Okay, now, it's not all bad. In this case, of Maharaj Bharat, although he took the body of a deer, he had the same consciousness as if he was a human being. He could remember his previous life. And so what he would do as a deer, he would go to and stay with the sages who were living in the forest, who were chanting, the scriptures. So he would hear that. He's continuing, right? He was continuing where he left off in his last life, but in a deer body. Okay? A little mistake. So I'm thinking about this dog. This dog has adopted me. And I'm thinking, I'm going to be like Maharaj Bharat. Because I'm thinking about the dog, who's going to feed it. I have to take care of it. have to give him water because everything's frozen. So, yeah, it's just a dog. It's not Maya, right?
Yeah.
So, anyway, whatever state of being we remember at the time of death. And this is why, back in chapter 6, Krishna's emphasizing you have to bring the mind under control. Particularly why, at the time of death, we want to be able to, extract the mind from whatever is going on in the body and think of Krishna. So, car accident, car is coming. What do? You don't curse. No, you say Hare Krishna.
After that.
I have some situation, not many, but some situation in my life where there is some very, for example, with my son, when he's a baby, have 1 month, and I give him 1 drop of something, vitamin C or D or something, and doesn't have a breathe again.
You stop breathing.
Uh-huh. And come blue like this.
Oh, you
couch.
must have been very afraid.
Yeah. I'm alone in a
Oh,
house, my
uh-huh.
yeah. And I take him like this, like this, like this. I do everything. And when I have not have another for do, I I scream, "Oh God, please, please God, help me!" In this time, my son's breathing, and yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, and I have with my life, I have some situation nearly dead, and in this moment, I forget. I don't forget the God, and I ask Him, and I'm here. I'm still here. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not that, I had one experience. This is in 1985. So I took up Christian consciousness in 73. So by 85, 12 years, I'm practicing Hare Krishna. And I'm going on an airplane trip. And this airplane, very bad shape. And practically it didn't, just barely got off the runway, You can see the trees right there. And everybody in the plane is freaking out. Oh yeah, it was one of those planes with the big engine on the tail, right? So it had 3 engines, one on each wing, and in the tail it had one. And I was sitting in the last row underneath this engine, and it starts making this noise, and it's right there over my head, and I'm thinking, okay, this is it. Everybody's thinking this plane is going to crash. Well, what's going on with me? I was just divorced. My children are very small. And I'm thinking, okay, I have to think about Krishna. But I was thinking about my children. Who's going to take care of my children? Like that. The plane obviously didn't crash. But it was, it was a lesson for me to see, because it looked like time was it. Time was over, So, you don't know, and I was thinking, my mind is going back and forth. Now I have to think about Krishna. Oh, my children. Krishna. Oh, my children. So it was a big struggle for me. So, anyway, the whole idea is that we want to, again, we will continue from where we leave off. So what state of being? Krishna says, whatever state of being one remembers. You can say either remembers, or maybe you're not conscious, you're unconscious. So that state of being, that state of consciousness that we've developed up to that point in time. Are we angry, selfish, miserly, good, bad, whatever we are, that's where we continue. Next slide. So, therefore, now Krishna is giving the map here. He's saying how to get to the destination. Number 7. Always think of me in this form, right? In the form of Krishna. This not some impersonal Krishna, this two-armed form of the Lord. And at the same time, you carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will come to me without a doubt. Now remember, this is on a battlefield they're talking, right? There's going to be a war very soon, and people die in wars. And so Arjuna, he doesn't know, I'm going to live or die. So Krishna's telling him, this is what you do. You fight, you have to fight, but at the same time you're thinking of me and dedicate your activities to me. So that applies for all of us. Whatever our activities are, we dedicate them to Krishna. Huh? Krishna, this is for you. So this is the map. It's not that you get to Krishna by going somewhere, right? We have to develop a particular state of consciousness, a state of mind. Continuing. He who meditates on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his mind constantly engaged in remembering me, undeviating from the path, he is sure to reach me. So this is why we practice our sadhana, right? Chanting Hare Krishna, chanting mantras, and so on like that. Right? So, constantly engaged in remembering Krishna. Now, how one should meditate on him. One should meditate on the Supreme Person as one who knows everything, as he who is the oldest, the controller, who is smaller than the smallest, the maintainer of everything, who is beyond material conception, who is inconceivable, and who is always a person. Very important. Always a person. He is luminous like the sun, and being transcendental, beyond the material nature. So, that's the state of mind. That's, again, how are we going to get to Krishna? It's almost like, what does the vehicle look like, right? This is the kind of vehicle we're going to get into to go to Krishna. It's a, what they call it, yantra. You know, yantra, this Sanskrit word, machine. And so this yantra you get in, and here it's being described as a meditation, as a way of, it's a yantra that's created by the mind and the activities of the mind. And who at the time of death fixes his life hair between the eyebrows in full devotion, engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's more for yogis. Yogis who are controlling the life air, they can leave the body, they practice pranayama for that purpose too. So they fixing the third eye. Persons learned in the Vedas who utter Omkara and who are great sages in the renounced order enter into Brahman. Now that's a different destination. Brahman, the spiritual sky. Remember we just read earlier, Brahman is the living entity. Now he's saying here, they enter to Brahman. This is a different Brahman. The spiritual sky is Brahman, and that spiritual sky is made up of living beings who are in Sat and Chit feature, but no Ananda. Mm-hmm. They're just there. They're part of the one. This is what the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, what they want to do. So that's why they chant Om. Om is the impersonal form of the Lord. So we chant Hare Krishna. Krishna, that means the person, Krishna. Om is Brahman. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy. Another part of the path, the map. I shall now explain to you the process by which one may attain salvation. So he's already described it, but now he says he's going to describe it some more. So in this chapter, he's repeating the same thing over and over again, and make a study of it, and you can see there's some subtle differences between these slokas. How to attain Krishna. So we'll look at that a little bit. Now he's going to talk about yogis. The yogic situation is that of detachment from sensual engagements, closing the doors of the senses, fixing the mind and the heart, and life air at the top of the head. One establishes himself in yoga. So we don't do this anymore. This is the previous path. After being situated in yoga practice, vibrating the sacred syllable Om, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. So here, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the word in the Sanskrit is actually Brahman. So it means he's going to go to the spiritual sky. He'll achieve transcendence, but where or what form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? It's not clear. So our acharyas, they're teaching us that there's different forms of the Lord, different manifestations of the Lord, what their purposes are, and so on. And they're all equal, in one sense. So if we like to go be with Ramachandra or Buddha or, like that, we can go there. That's okay. But our acharyas, they also tell us that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Do you understand that expression? Yeah? It took me a long time to understand that. Supreme Personality of Godhead. Because if you look in the dictionary for Godhead, what does it say? God. It doesn't give a very good definition. But when we understand that there's different personalities, this is called swamsa. Krishna expands himself. We are expansions of Krishna. Little expansions, that's called Vibhinamsa. And Krishna also expands as, in other features, equal to himself. So those are called swamsa. So that's Narayan, for example, or Ramachandra. So those are swamsa expansions. And we are Vibhinamsa. So one can think of those other personalities. When I read Ramayana, have you ever read Ramayana?
Ramayana?
Yeah.
No, I read Ramayana.
Are you reading now? Oh, I fell in love with Ramachandra. I was getting guilty, but wait, I'm supposed to be a Krishna Bhakta. But Ramachandra was so attractive, so wonderful. I was just falling in love with Ramachandra. Anyway, wherever we want, well, that form of the Lord we think about, we devote ourselves to, we serve, and we can go to. One who remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So, easy. Easy to do, easy to get to Krishna. And here's the ticket. Constantly be engaged in his devotional service. Now, here's an important point. A very controversial point. After attaining me, the yogis never return to this material world, which is full of misery.
Yuppie.
Huh?
Yuppie.
She said yuppie.
Yes.
But some people have a different opinion, unfortunately, about that.
Oh, I have also discussion is in my head. If I want to go, or I don't want to go. Is here is nice, or is not here is nice. I have a son, maybe I have grandchildren, and so on, so on. Maybe I want to stay, maybe I want to go.
Yeah.
But sometimes, many years, I have this blah 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 in my head, Okay, but now this chat is
Getting soft.
Yeah.
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 And you'll find as we devote ourselves to Krishna, we become purified, we become free from those attachments, those, not that we don't love, but that bond is not so strong. Huh? So, but the point is, we never come back. Now, some people, some devotees, the ISKCON establishment, think that we come back. But Krishna says 3 times in this one chapter we don't come back.
But
So.
sorry, some big guru avatars. This this person come back from this from the Krishna or from where?
When Krishna comes, avatar,
Yeah.
when he comes, he brings his friends from the spiritual world. Okay, so we can come for a vacation to the material world.
Maybe now is a very specific time in a for world.
Yeah.
Maybe now is this company come.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
I keep praying for Arjuna to come and take care of business.
Yes. Me too.
But if he just came with his bow and arrow, he could change things real quick.
No, but Prabhupada said.
So, bro,
Prabhupada said.
No, but Prabhupada said that we have to do business for us.
So. And the next sloka, he repeats this. From the highest planet to the lowest planet, they're all places of misery, where repeated birth and death take place. But one who comes to my abode, he never, never, never takes birth here again. So that's twice in a row he says it. And he's even going to say it one more time. So emphasis 3 times. So then we can feel assured. There's no reason to have any doubt that, okay, because it's just like, yeah, we go to the spiritual world, but then, because we ask, well, how did I get here? Right? Everybody wants to know, well, this is not such a nice place. How did I get here? And you can say, well, karma from previous life, but then how did I get here originally? And that is explained also, that we come from Brahman, that spiritual sky. We actually come from there. Anyway, that's a more advanced topic. Now Krishna is going to explain the nature of this material world, when people are born, when they die. We won't go into that. But finally, again in text 21, the supreme abode is unmanifest and infallible. It is the supreme destination. When one goes there, he never comes back. So 3 times, not coming back. And now Krishna goes on to explain about himself. How to meditate on him. He's greater than all. He's attainable by unalloyed devotion. He is present in his abode. He's all-pervading. Everything situated in him. So you can see in this chapter, the same thing is being repeated again and again. What Krishna is like, how to get to him, you never come back. All these things, it's just repetition to help us to get it through our head. So now he's explaining what happens in text 23 for the Tibetan Book of the Dead people. The times are passing when one comes or does not come back. And we're not going to go into any detail there. So we'll go to 27. The devotees. are never bewildered. They are always fixed in devotion. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results of studying the Vedas, performing austere sacrifices, giving charity, or pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. And at the end, he reaches my supreme abode.
Kako se kaže plodonosna aktivnost?
Fruitive activities.
Our fructive activities is our talent. With this talent, we serving the Krishna. That is some. Or,
Every activity has some result. Okay. When one wants the result for themselves, I do something because I want the result. Generally, I want to enjoy the result, right? That creates karma. The desire to get it for me, that creates karma for me. I can get it in this life, and the process is complete, no problem. But many things I desire, okay, we don't just begin activity. The first thing is desire, okay? Then we act for the result. So the desire sets karma into motion. If we get the result in this lifetime, then karma is complete. If we have desire that is not fulfilled in this lifetime, that reaction, karma reaction, will force us to be born again. This is fruitive activity. So the art of devotional service is to learn how to learn how to work, not for the result for myself, but to give the result to Krishna. Okay? So I'm unattached. So this go back to 2nd, 3rd, 4th chapters where we talk about fruitive activity there. So the whole point is that we learn how to act in service to the Lord. Because in the spiritual world, that's what's going on, right? We are training ourselves, we are preparing ourselves to be able to go there. But if we go there with the attitude that, let's say if we have the attitude, oh, I want this for me, then this creates problems there, right?
ego is built. This mindset build the ego.
Yeah. It creates conflict, right?
I am the best.
Yeah. So in the spiritual world, everything is about Krishna. Everybody is trying to please Krishna, and Krishna is trying to please all of his devotees. So there's no conflict. But if somebody else goes in there and they say, hey, why are you serving Krishna? What about me? Not going to work. So those kind of people, they can't go there. So what we're trying to do is, for that person, you come to the material world. That's why we're here, okay? So to qualify ourselves to leave, we have to give up that consciousness of working for me and develop the consciousness of doing everything for Krishna. So that's what he's talking about in this. Everywhere he says devotional service, that's what that means. So fruitive activity is one direction, devotional service is opposite direction. More or less like that.
uh, 8, 12, and before in Jnana Yoga, this,
Uh-huh.
system. Why Krishna talk about this system if it's not practical in this age?
Well, there's three classes of transcendentalists, remember, okay? The impersonalists, those who worship Brahman, those who worship the Lord in the heart, the yogis, the impersonalists, and the devotees. They all go to the spiritual world, okay? But what place in the spiritual world?
Mm-hmm. But in this age, it's not.
This age, no, it's not recommended, but this is spoken 5,000 years ago.
Yes.
Yeah, and there's still, even today in India, there's many people who are following that idea, right, because of their family tradition and so on. And so this instruction is for them.
Okay.
In one sense, being born in the West at this time is a great blessing for us because we don't have that baggage, that cultural baggage in India. Huh? We don't even know what demigod worship. We have no idea. So it's not a problem for us. We're not, worshiping Durga, for some blessing. No problem,
Yeah.
Durga? Krishna, yeah. So, yeah, it's a blessing for us to be born in the West. It's that we have Prabhupada. Without Prabhupada, no, it's a curse.
No, I understand.
But since we have Prabhupada, it's a great blessing. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Right.